we explore the psychology behind attraction. It's not always about looks, age, or money. It's about the energy, wisdom, and emotional balance a person radiates. Many younger women are naturally drawn toward older men, not because of age itself, but because of the emotional atmosphere that comes with maturity. Let's begin with emotional maturity. Younger women often live in a world full of uncertainty. Career stress, identity building, and social pressure. When they meet a man who doesn't react out of insecurity, who listens calmly, and who offers emotional guidance instead of emotional chaos, it creates a feeling of safety. This kind of security is rare, and the human heart always moves towards safety. Now, think about life experience. With time comes the understanding of what truly matters. Older men tend to prioritize peace over drama, conversation over confrontation, and depth over distraction. This is not something that can be faked. It comes from having lived through mistakes, learned lessons, and grown wiser. Younger women sense that. They admire a man who doesn't panic over small things, who can handle challenges with strength and logic. Another key element is security and direction. It's not about financial status. It's about emotional and mental structure. An older man knows where he's heading, what he values, and what he refuses to tolerate. That direction attracts younger women who are still shaping their own paths. It's like standing beside a lighthouse during a storm. His clarity provides light, guidance, and peace. Then comes confidence, not the loud, showy kind, but the calm inner strength that comes from knowing who you are. An older man doesn't compete for validation, he doesn't chase attention. That grounded confidence speaks volumes. Younger women read it as safety, reliability, and power. And psychology tells us confidence is one of the most magnetic traits in human connection. We also cannot ignore communication and empathy. With time, people either grow bitter or become better communicators. Older men who've chosen to learn from experience know how to listen. They don't try to fix every emotion. They simply understand it. That understanding makes younger women feel seen, not judged. In a world where people are often too busy to listen, this kind of empathy feels like gold. Finally, it's about emotional and intellectual connection. Younger women often crave conversations that stimulate growth, discussions about life, purpose, and dreams. Older men can meet them on that level. They bring perspective, wisdom, and stories that inspire. That's where the real chemistry begins. Not in youth or age, but in understanding. So when we ask, why do younger women prefer older men? The answer lies not in materialism, but in maturity. It's about the emotional intelligence, the calm energy, and the life wisdom that make a woman feel not just loved, but understood and valued. Emotional maturity is one of the most powerful forces in human attraction, especially when it comes to why younger women often find older men deeply appealing. It's not about wrinkles or age gaps. It's about the calmness that maturity brings. In a world full of emotional noise, where most people act from impulse or insecurity, someone who can stay centered becomes magnetic. Emotional maturity means being able to understand feelings instead of reacting to them. It's about responding with balance, not out of anger, fear, or ego. And that kind of stability creates a sense of peace that many younger women naturally crave. Younger women often live in a phase of exploration, trying to discover who they are, what they want, and where they belong. This period can be filled with uncertainty, pressure, and emotional highs and lows. When they meet a man who doesn't add to that chaos, but instead brings clarity, steadiness, and reassurance, it's like breathing fresh air. Emotional maturity makes a man reliable, not just in action, but in presence. He becomes someone who can listen without interrupting, guide without controlling, and support without judgment. These are subtle but deeply influential traits. A mature man understands that emotions are not weaknesses, they are signals. Instead of running away from conflict, he faces it with calm dialogue. Instead of reacting defensively, he chooses to understand the meaning behind the emotion. For a younger woman, that's a rare experience, being understood instead of dismissed. She may have been around people her age who argue to win, not to resolve. But an emotionally mature man argues to understand. He doesn't need to prove he's right. He just wants peace. That emotional grounding gives her a sense of stability that feels safe and deeply comforting. Emotional maturity also builds a certain emotional rhythm. A man who is emotionally developed doesn't play games. He doesn't disappear to create attention or manipulate emotions for control. Instead, he communicates honestly. He sets boundaries with respect. He knows when to speak and when to simply listen. That kind of control over one's own emotions inspires respect and admiration. Younger women often find that energy incredibly attractive because it creates an environment where they can relax, open up, and express themselves freely without fear of being misunderstood or judged. In relationships, emotional stability translates into predictability in the best possible way. It's not about being boring, it's about being reliable. It's knowing that when life gets tough, he won't fall apart or blame others. He'll stay calm, think things through, and offer solutions. That's the kind of emotional consistency that makes a woman feel safe enough to build a life, share her dreams, and trust the connection. Younger women instinctively recognize this difference. They see that emotional maturity means less drama, fewer arguments, and more growth. It's not about control, it's about creating emotional peace. Another reason emotional maturity stands out is because it reflects deep self-awareness. Older men who've learned from life's lessons understand their own triggers, strengths, and weaknesses. They've faced failure and come out wiser, not bitter. That awareness helps them manage relationships with empathy. They don't project their insecurities onto others, they take responsibility. They know that love isn't about possession, it's about partnership. This understanding builds an emotional foundation that feels genuine and long-lasting. Younger women can sense this authenticity. It's the difference between someone who wants attention and someone who wants connection. Emotional maturity also involves emotional patience. A mature man doesn't expect perfection. He understands growth takes time. He can handle emotional fluctuations without overreacting. He doesn't get angry when things don't go his way. He adapts. That emotional resilience is rare and deeply attractive because it offers peace instead of pressure. In today's world, where relationships often crumble under stress, someone who can hold space, stay calm, and still show care stands out as a source of strength. What's more, emotional maturity isn't something that can be faked. It's visible in tone, body language, and choices. It's in the way a man treats people who can't offer him anything in return. It's in how he handles disagreement, disappointment, and delay. Younger women who are emotionally intuitive pick up on that easily. They recognize that emotional maturity equals emotional safety, and emotional safety is one of the strongest forms of attraction. Ultimately, emotional maturity creates stability because it provides what every human heart secretly seeks: peace. It doesn't mean a relationship will be perfect. It means it will be grounded. It means there's space for both people to grow without fear of emotional chaos. Younger women often feel drawn to this energy because it allows them to be their authentic selves. They don't have to walk on eggshells or perform for attention. They can simply be. That's the real power of emotional maturity. It turns love from a battlefield into a sanctuary. Life experience is one of the most powerful teachers a person can have. And in relationships, it often becomes the quiet magnet that draws younger women toward older men. With age comes perspective, not just knowledge gathered from books or success, but the deep understanding that only living through real situations can bring. A man who has experienced the ups and downs of life carries a certain calmness in his presence, a steady awareness of what truly matters. He doesn't chase every impulse or react to every emotion because he's already walked through storms and come out stronger. That strength, that wisdom born from experience, naturally attracts younger women who crave emotional depth and stability. Younger women often find themselves surrounded by people their age who are still trying to figure life out, impulsive, uncertain, or emotionally reactive. In contrast, a man who has lived long enough to learn from mistakes becomes a source of guidance and peace. He doesn't view challenges as crises, he views them as lessons. When a younger woman spends time with such a man, she feels that difference immediately. His words carry weight, his decisions have thought behind them, and his presence feels safe. That's because his life experience has shaped him into someone who leads with understanding instead of ego. Wisdom is not about being older, it's about learning from what life has taught you. Experience gives a man the ability to interpret emotions and behavior with depth. He can sense when something is wrong even if it's not spoken. He has likely made relationship mistakes, learned the cost of pride, and discovered the importance of communication. This awareness allows him to connect in ways that feel real. When he listens, he truly listens. When he speaks, he doesn't just talk. He offers perspective. That's what makes the connection between an experienced man and a younger woman so powerful. It's not about dominance or control, it's about balance. The blend of curiosity and wisdom, energy and calm, Life experience also builds emotional intelligence. An older man who has grown from his past learns that relationships thrive not on control but on understanding. He learns that love is not just passion, but patience. He knows that sometimes silence is more powerful than words, and kindness can resolve more than confrontation. A younger woman, in her natural emotional curiosity, finds that deeply attractive because it gives her room to express herself without fear. Instead of being met with immaturity or insecurity, she meets empathy and clarity. That's the beauty of wisdom. It doesn't demand attention, it earns it through authenticity. Wisdom also gives a man clarity about priorities. He no longer chases validation or plays games for attention. He's been through the phases of trying to impress and now finds peace in simplicity. That self-assurance creates an aura of quiet strength. Younger women are not drawn to the number of years a man has lived, but to the lessons those years have taught him. A man who understands himself also understands how to handle others. He knows that life is not about constant excitement, but about meaningful connection. His calm becomes contagious, his perspective becomes grounding, and his energy becomes magnetic. Experience also teaches patience with imperfection. A man who has lived through different seasons of life knows that people are not perfect,